Hey, beautiful soul. Welcome in for another episode of Spirit Speakeasy. Today, we are going to go over 9 steps to reset the energy of your home and life for spring or any season. I'm happy to be here with you today. As you know, we just had the spring equinox, but these steps can be used any season that you want to just give an energetic reset, refresh to your physical space and also your life. So let's dive right in. The first step is to declutter and organize. Now, I want to talk a little bit about what to do here and the energy behind it, because I think we all hear like, okay, yes, declutter in spring, we know, but it's decluttering and organizing in a way to reset the energy, kind of letting go what's not serving us. And I'm talking about drawers, closets, cabinets, your car, your desk, your diaper bag or purse or backpack, your medicine cabinet, your things like lotion, makeup, supplements, that kind of thing, your underwear drawer, your Tupperware shelf. So it's not just the things we can see with our physical eyes, but it's really opening drawers and cabinets. And a little pro tip here is it's okay not to do this all in one sitting. It's a big undertaking and we can often get discouraged when when something that we're wanting to do is like a really big project. Most of us don't have several days we can set aside to do a full declutter like this. So it's okay to do like one drawer or one cabinet at a time. Like I said, most of us don't have a whole weekend to set aside. So think of ways that you can set a timer for even 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 5 minutes if you want, to really do things like go through that pile of mail that's been collecting on your table or entry desk, for example. While you have something in the oven cooking, could you go through one kitchen drawer or cabinet? Next time you pull off your sheets to wash them, could you spend 10 minutes decluttering and reorganizing your nightstand, for example? So it's these little ways. And then if we spend a couple weeks just finding a little extra 5 or 10 minutes here and there, maybe you're waiting in traffic or well, maybe not traffic, but be safe driving, but maybe you're waiting to pick up kids from practice, or maybe you're have an extra 10 minutes before you have to go into work when you're in your car. Could you just kind of quickly do a little trash decluttering? If you've got, I know I've got some little like straw papers and stuff in the side of my drawer. So can you declutter like that? The energy of clutter keeps us feeling bound up, keeps us feeling a little bit stuck, a little bit stagnant. So you will be amazed how you feel when even one room in your house is fully decluttered, especially in winter time. We can tend to just let little things pile up different places. Maybe you keep things mostly clean, but I think most of us have some version of a pile of mail or papers or things that we need to file, or I know that I have a pile of documents I need to shred, for example. Maybe it's I also have a little shelf of oracle cards that could be a little tidier and reorganized. So it's just this energy of tidying up and reorganizing, decluttering, so that you have fresh, clear energy in that zone of your house. Now, this next one that is a part B to this is release and clear. One of the reasons we want to do that is to make room for blessings. So what does it look like to release and clear? It's a physical action that is going to free up energy for us. So be sure to dust. The reason I put decluttering and organizing first is, I don't know about you, but sometimes when I'm decluttering, I feel like little bits of glitter end up places, or little bits of dust, or so it's good to kind of do that piece of it first. And then next, after you've decluttered and sorted and organized and figured out what you're giving away, what you're throwing away, really just release and clear. So be sure to dust, sweep, vacuum, etc. Shake your carpets outside, whatever you can do to get the dust bunnies out, so to speak. I personally am excited to wash the upholstery on my couch. I usually do it in spring, and I got a little cool machine on really good sale. So are there things like that that you're just excited to kind of get that stagnant wintertime or past season energy out of? Be sure to open the windows if possible, if you're somewhere where the weather is good enough to do so. If not, like if you can't open the windows where you are, can you open the blinds or curtains and just let light in? We're thinking of like refreshing. bringing things to the light, clearing out that stagnant, dusty cobwebs and dust bunnies to make room for blessings, to make room for creativity, inspiration. And when, I think most of us know this just from our own lives. When our house gets a little messy or a little cluttered, even just a basic clean can make us feel like, oh, so much better, so much more refreshed, right? But this is like that deeper seasonal clean. If you remember, if you're old enough to remember, the kind of the old fashioned way of doing it on the East Coast, I know the Italian way, and I know lots of other cultures have this way too. In spring, that's what you do. You open all the windows and blinds, you clear out, you sweep out, you're going through your clothes from last season. So that's kind of the business of it, which most of us know, decluttering seasonally, right? But if you want to take it to the next level, say that you've done that. You've cleaned out your drawers and cabinets and trunks and refrigerator and whatever else you have, and you've done your dusting and sweeping and vacuuming and beat all the pillows and shaken all the rugs outside and all of that. What's the next level of this is doing something called a spiritual wash. If you're new here, you probably haven't heard me talk about this before, but really it's, I'm going to go into a different version of this later in the episode, but you can just take salt water, any herbs that you like. I love rosemary to put into things to make it fresher. You can also infuse any energy, whether you're an energy healer or not. You can kind of just put your hands over the water and put your positive vibes in there, put your positive energy, put your healing intentions. You can also speak intentions into this water. I don't know if you have seen the experiments with water and positive words being spoken into and the way it changes the ice crystals. If you haven't, just search it. You'll find positive words spoken to frozen water. You'll find it and you'll see that the water is actually at the molecular level affected by positive intentions and words being spoken into it. So get you a bucket or a bowl, put some salt water, herbs if you want. You don't have to. Put some positive energy in there. Speak some intentions into this water. Your intentions for, like, say you're going to do your kitchen. Your intentions for the kitchen. I want this to be a nourishing space where my family gathers, where we have laughter together, where we can talk about the important things in life, where we feel close together. I want to provide these memories for my family, whatever it is, your kitchen intentions, let's just say. And then you would take that spiritual water and you wash down the whole space with it. So the cabinets, the counters, the stovetop, the floors. Now, I want to mention this. Be sure to do a test area so you don't ruin your floors, your walls, etc. Like we all know hardwood floors are not supposed to have buckets of water dumped on them, for example. We all know certain paint, if you wipe it with water, it's going to damage that paint. So if you want to do this spiritual wash, just do a little test area with your mixture. And then the other thing is after you do the wash, I will do this on my floors every season. My walls, you can kind of see them back here. This is my home. So my walls don't have the type of paint that I could wash with a spiritual wash. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, other ways to clear the space energetically, but my floors I can do. So I'll do this kind of a mixture. I'll wash down my floors, and then you want to also kind of rinse it or wash it down again with clear, clean water because we don't want that salt to dry, those herbs to dry, but it's doing this spiritual wash and then washing down like all the cabinets, for example, infuses the space with this grounding, clearing energy of the sea salt. It also infuses it with your intentions. And we know water is a magnifier. So after you're done your full deep clean, you can do this extra little spiritual wash to really just marinate that whole space and your energetic intentions. This is something I've done for many, many years. I learned to do this many, many years ago, and I do it every season, and sometimes I'll do it extra if I just feel like it. And I've had so many people. There was a time where I had lots of kids living in my house, bigger kids, and they would come in and they would be like, what's different in here? What's changed? What did you do? Did you move furniture? And really it was just the spiritual wash or house clearing or whatever I had done. So even when people don't know what you're doing, this energy is noticeable. And it just really does a nice clearing. Often in the winter or the season before, we can have things a little bit shut in. The energy can get kind of stagnant. We're spending a lot of time indoors, particularly in winter time in the northern hemisphere. So it's really just kind of taking off the energy and the intentions that were there before, whatever has built up energetically, or dust and grease, all of it together, and just giving a fresh start. Excuse me, my goodness. I might even edit that little cough out. We'll see. Okay, so that is the spiritual wash if you want to take your cleaning and clearing to the next level. And then on the emotional side, just take a moment. Once you've done your clearing, cleaning, once you've done your spiritual wash, if you want, take a moment and get quiet and acknowledge any shifts, any growth, any wisdom that came from the season prior. If you're in the northern hemisphere, you're just coming out of winter like I am. What is the wisdom that came out of the season of darkness for you? This winter season. And if you're in the southern hemisphere, for our friends in Australia and New Zealand, what wisdom came out of this last season for you? They are summer going into fall now. So what came to light in the summer for you if you're in the other hemisphere, or if you're doing this in a different season than we're currently in right now? And contemplate who you are now. What are your desires now, your intentions now for the next months? Because we change all the time. Sometimes we start down a path with one intention and then we realize, oh yeah, that's not exactly what I wanted, or that's not exactly how I meant for this to manifest. And now my intention's a little different, or now I have a little more clarity on what exactly I want this to look like or feel like. So just taking a moment and getting clear with yourself about what wisdom came from the past season. And I have a little pro tip here for you. It's a great time to write these down too, even if you're not someone who like regularly journals. If you are, that is wonderful. There's lots of uses for journaling. If you're not, I'm not the best at journaling myself either. So if you're not someone who journals regularly, making a ritual of this, like at the change of the seasons, can be a powerful tool for you as you continue to change, grow, and expand. And you can even make it as simple as just jotting down some notes after your morning walk, or as elaborate as a really special ritual or ceremony for yourself at the changes of seasons. But just kind of acknowledging, what are you grateful for now? What wisdom came from this past season? Who are you now? What's different about you? How have you grown? What do you want now? What are your intentions? What have you learned about yourself? And if we do this every season, so let's say every 3 to 4 months, really over a year, you can see how much more clear you've gotten on your intentions, how you fine-tuned the wisdom that you've extracted that you might forget about. So as another little pro tip here, besides the journaling, you can also set a sign with the universe for the season. You know how we're always talking about you can set signs with the universe to play, to say hello, to just realize and know that you're supported. So you can choose a specific sign for the season that we're entering into. Make a little note of it in your journal so you remember what it is. And then you can say, okay, universe, for the next 3 months, for spring of 2025, depending what season you're in, where you are when you're listening to this, I want to set the sign with you of purple hearts. So in the next 3 months, send me purple hearts to say hello, to give me support, to let me know I'm on the right track, right? And you can pick any sign that you like, something that resonates with you, something that you feel is fun, but just to add another layer in here of communicating with the universe, feeling supported, and playing with the spiritual energy of it all, because these things go hand in hand. This physical stagnant energy and this spiritual energy, right? So as we clear out the stagnation of the physical energy, there's more space, there's more available void for this spiritual play, right? Okay, so those are a couple little pro tips to make it a little extra fun and sassy if you want to. So more on the spring refresh, we want to talk about refreshing your physical spaces. Now, we've already done the cleaning, right? And this could be home, it can be office, it could be wherever you like. I want you to think about things like changing your curtains. Some places, I know where I grew up, there's different curtains for winter versus summer, for example, if you live somewhere where the seasons are really impactful. So it could be something like changing your curtains. It could be something like changing the covers on your throw pillows. It could mean getting a new candle that represents spring, or even just rearranging what you already have after you do your clean out. If there's nothing to change out seasonally here for you, it can just be like rearranging some things that you already have. Maybe you're rearranging a couple of your shelves. Maybe you're bringing in some cuttings or spring flowers. That's my next point, actually. So refreshing your space physically, whatever that means for you. Sometimes I like throw blankets because I get a little bit chilly. So sometimes I'll even change out the throw blankets, and I'll have one for this season and one for that season. It doesn't have to be big dramatic changes. It can just be little changes, sort of like we might decorate for one holiday. Well, this is just refreshing your physical space, maybe changing some curtains or pillows, maybe just moving some things around in a way that feels really fresh to you. Consider adding new life. Bring in a house plant, even a small succulent, like those tiny little cute plants in the tiny little pots, if you've ever seen them. If you're not someone who is a green thumb, for example, and you're like, Joy, I don't want any live plants in my house, I'm going to kill it. You could also bring in like cuttings from a pretty tree. Or my last place, we had this amazing, really full rosemary bush. I don't know if you know, rosemaries grow in bushes or hedges. They can even be shaped. So maybe you have something like that where you are, and you could just go do a couple little cuttings or trimmings off a pretty tree or bush. Or maybe you have rosemary, for example. Maybe there are flowers blooming that you could cut that are wildflowers. Just ways of bringing in new life, new fresh life into that space. And plants are a great way to do it. I also want to remind you to infuse the space with positive energy. So, we had talked about doing the spiritual wash, right? This is another way to infuse your space with positive energy. And this can be done, like I said, it doesn't just have to be at home. It could be maybe you only have one room. Maybe you don't have the whole house. Maybe you have your car. Maybe you have an office. Maybe you have a locker, right? And that's the space that you can control. So infuse with positive energy. You can do this, of course, through like smoke if you like sage, but you can also do this by playing music, raising the energetic vibration through high vibrational music. It can be music that's just really upbeat. It can be spiritual music. It could be anything in between. You can sing, you can dance, you can laugh, you can meditate, and send your intentions out into the space, and imagine kind of pressing them or marinating them, or envision that energy just spreading into the walls to really surround yourself. And you can set intentions for things like peace, happiness, calm, joyous experiences, whatever it is, but infuse positive energy into this space too, because we took stuff out, right? We decluttered and we cleaned, and maybe you did the spiritual wash, or maybe you didn't, but we want to re-infuse. So we took out to make space, and now we have to re-infuse in. So refreshing the space, adding new life with a plant or greenery, or flowers, infusing positive energy into this space. And there's lots of ways you can do it. I think a lot of people forget that sound is positive vibration, like literally. So if you like the tuning forks or the sound bowls, you can do them, but you also can just use a regular music. It doesn't have to be fancy. This is accessible to everybody with no more tools than you have at your disposal right now where you are. Another little special tip that I want to give you is creating a blessings boil. Now, what is this? You can also use a diffuser with essential oil if that's something you like. I will just put a little caveat in here. The purity of the oil matters. So if you're going to use a diffuser, which is, there's two kinds. There's diffusers that use water, and there's diffusers that don't use water. If you're using a water diffuser, which is the most common, the most affordable, and what most people have, it's the kind where you fill some sort of a little vessel with water, put a couple drops of essential oil, and it creates a water steam. So the purity of the oils matters. You want therapeutic grade. You want 100% pure. And ideally, to know if it's pure, you want the Latin name of the plant somewhere on that bottle. It's called the Latin binomial. It's the plant name, right? So it's the fancy plant name. I don't have any essential oils within my reach, or I would show you on the video version. But you want the highest grade essential oils. You don't want fragrance oils, especially if you're someone who's sensitive. If I am going to do a diffuser, it has to be like in a totally different space for me. I'm really sensitive to inhalants. So if you are someone who is also really sensitive, you don't have to do a diffuser. If you don't have a diffuser, I'm going to teach you about this blessings boil right now. This is one of my favorite tricks. Many years ago, I did a video and taught it, and everyone seemed to like it. And I do it all the time. It's one of my house clearing things that I always is a strong word, but I'm usually doing as part of a house clearing. And like I said, I learned this a long time ago. So I tend to like, this is mine, and there's lots of variations we can talk about. You get you a pot of some kind. For me, because the things I'm using are food ingredients or food grade ingredients, I feel like it's okay to just use a regular pot. I don't have like, some people have a special pot for this, and it's like their spiritual workings pot. But for blessing boils, I'm kind of a bit of a kitchen witch. And so I just use the stuff I already have. So you can use a pot that you already have. It doesn't have to be giant, whatever you got. You want it to be big enough that you can let it simmer for a while. So if you have a kind of a bigger sauce pot or like a smaller spaghetti type pot, those are great. Play with it, and you don't want to leave it super unsupervised. So you're going to be there to watch it anyway. So I tend to like to add, besides water, you want to put a generous amount of water. And then I like to add citrus peels, something kind of cool that not everybody knows. So we're just talking about essential oils. Most essential oils that are therapeutic grade have to go through a distillation process. Think about when you get rosemary oil, for example. We all know that rosemary plant is camphorous. It has a really strong smell. You get sticky, but there's a process to diffuse that oil out of the plant and make it into a concentrate that we get in the little bottle. Well, something really special about citrus is that it's cold pressed, meaning it doesn't have to go through that whole distillation process with beakers and test tubes and the whole thing. But citrus oil lives in the peel of the citrus fruit. So if you've ever peeled an orange or lemon or grapefruit and you feel your hands a little sticky and you get that scent, the essential oil is in the peel. So you can just take the peels, like if you're going to have an orange or a lemon, save the peel, and you can toss the citrus peels into this blessings blend. I like to use citrus. It's an angelic vibrational scent energy. So it calls in energy of the angels. It calls in, it's a high vibration. Think of like that bright scent that citrus has. So I will use often citrus peels. I tend to like oranges or lemons, just because those are the ones I usually happen to have around, but any citrus peel will do. Those are a little more aromatic too. I like cinnamon sticks or cloves. I also like rosemary, which, like I said, depending on where you live, it's often pretty easy to find growing outside in places, but you could also use dried rosemary if you want, if that's what you have access to. You could also, because rosemary is two things. Well, let me tell you what each thing does. So citrus is a bright scent. It refreshes the energy. It brightens the space energetically and with the scent. Cinnamon or cloves, which are two things I use. Sometimes I'll use both. Sometimes I'll use one or the other, depending what I have. Cinnamon or cloves, think of like how it has that little bit of like a spice or heat to it. Like cinnamon, it's not that it's spicy, but I think you know what I mean. It can be an aggravant to people. So we're going to talk about that in just a minute, but cinnamon heats up your intention. Cinnamon and cloves, it like supercharges your intention because it really, like heats it up. It warms it up. And cinnamon is kind of like that warming feeling. Rosemary, which is camphorous, that's that smell that you get from it. It is a natural like antiseptic. So it is clearing in a more like natural medicinal way, clearing the energy, and eucalyptus does this as well. So if you ever have like someone that has a cold or when your house, like a cold or a flu goes through your house, it's really nice to boil rosemary or eucalyptus afterwards, because it is just helps as a germicide and helps with airborne germs. So rosemary, that's what it does. And it also, in the energy of the plant, it's also protection. It's also infusing, grounding. You can also use lavender if you like. You could buy some sprigs. You could use dried lavender. Lavender is calm, it's peace, it's restfulness, it's restoration. You can use sea salt, which is great for grounding, clearing. And you can use things that like complement the scent of one another. I probably wouldn't use those things all together. Typically, what I'm using is some sort of citrus peel, some sort of cinnamon sticks and or cloves, often rosemary, sea salt, and then I'm often putting in there, what's the other thing I like? Oh, I like a couple of bay leaves. Those are also for protection, magic, wonder. So if you like bay leaves, it doesn't add too much to the scent. So you want to use scents that complement each other though. So for me, I could use lavender and rosemary together, but I probably wouldn't use like lavender and cinnamon, although you could try it. And the intention with this is one, you want to be intentional as you prepare the ingredients. So as you pour the water in, you want to be thankful for the water. You want to be speaking your intentions into that water. You want to be infusing your words or energetic intentions as you like peel the orange, as you prepare the peels, as you sprinkle the salt in. You want to give your intentions. So you want to be very intentional as you prepare the ingredients. Think about your intentions. It's nice to have music playing. If you like music, you want to set it as like a happy, peaceful, ritual, if you like that word. I don't love that word, but a little experience for yourself, because we're wanting to infuse the space. So your attitude, your mood, your emotion matters. If you're in a crappy mood, go take a walk, get you a boba tea or a coffee, cheer yourself up a little, and then do this. Don't do this if you're in a foul mood, because your intentions, your energy, your emotions is what is helping to charge this water and this blessings boil. So your attitude matters. So think about your intentions, play music if you like music. Upbeat is great. And put your intentions for the home itself and any blessings you're hoping to create into the water with the ingredients. And then I let it rise to a boil and then I turn it down to simmer. Don't leave it unattended. Hashtag fire safety, fire safety, fire safety. Be intelligent grown-ups about this. We're not just letting things boil over. So the intention is, when you keep something at a rolling simmer, the steam goes up. And so this water is boiling with all of these little ingredients in it, with your intentions for the home, for the season, for yourself, whatever it is. And as the steam rises, it's infusing your space with this beautiful smell that's totally natural. These are kind of some homeopathic tricks. And it's also infusing the home with your intentions. But we want to be fire safe. We want to be careful. We want to, we don't want little kids reaching up and pulling the pot down. So please be smart and careful. I have a little pro tip here too. If you have lots of loose herbs that you want to use, like say you live somewhere where rosemary is not growing and you're like, well, I have dried rosemary in my cupboard. Can I use that? Yes. If you want, you can use a piece of cheesecloth if you have that handy, or a tea strainer ball, like those little reusable balls or containers that you put loose leaf tea in to steep your tea. Those are perfect for putting dried herbs in for these blessing boils. And then it's easier to clean the pot afterwards. I've done it with like loose dried lavender that I made and dried rosemary. I'll sometimes dry my own. And that's another little special tip for this. If it is springtime where you live, if you have an abundance of these things, you can pick them and dry them for later. But what I did was pour all of this dried lavender into this pot. And if you've ever done it before, you will know that stuff is little and it sticks to the sides and it gets everywhere. So using either a tea ball strainer or a little piece of cheesecloth and kind of tying it up like a tea bag is magic for this. And then it makes your pots really easy to clean afterwards. And again, if you're using a food pot, just make sure you clean it. All of these things, they make lavender ice cream now and lavender tea. So just know your own allergies and know your own and wash stuff, obviously. But that is a little pro tip that you can use a tea ball or a cheesecloth. Okay. Now that we have like solidified our home. We've really cleared it out. We've moved the stagnant energy. We've refreshed the space. We've brought in some new life. We've done either our spiritual wash, our blessings boil, or you can even, like I said, you can even do it with a diffuser, with oil, same thing. Put your intentions, all the same steps. You're just putting drops of oil instead of mixing your own concoction to fill the space with energy. Hopefully you've done some sort of chimes or sound or singing or dancing or infusing happiness. It can even be done with if you're someone who likes color, you can have those lights that shine color up the wall, and you can do it that way. So you can do it with your own energy. If you have Reiki or Theta or Feldenkrais or any healing modality, you can infuse healing into the walls, the floors, the ceilings, create your container. So now that you've done that to the physical space, we want to move on to you, right? So a couple things to refresh, reset, and really just bring new energy to your home and to your life. Okay, brace yourself. Not everyone's going to like this one. Put new physical activity plans in place for yourself, or fine tune your existing ones. A lot of people think that the new year is time to, get moving or start our workout plan or our health and wellness goals, right? The truth is, this time of year, kind of March, April, is the astrological new year, which I kind of love. So it's like another new year, a fresh start. So if you think of springtime as new year, for me personally, springtime is the time of year that I feel motivated. I want to get moving. I actually often naturally want to start doing a lot of these tasks and things around the change of every season just on my own. And then I'll realize spring equinox is here. No wonder I'm wanting to do all this. So is that how it works for you at springtime? Is that the time you kind of want to get moving anyway? I know people, like I said, think of it as New Year's, January 1st, but for me, springtime is a great time to start all of this. I feel most of us, have the option to get outside a little bit more once the weather is nicer. So whenever that is for you, wherever you live, I would start by asking yourself, what type of movement does your body need now? Start where you are. For me, one of the things, if I'm being honest, that I'm going to focus on is doing a little bit more strength training. I've been really working again on my flexibility. My body requires stretching. It's what I need in this body, but maybe that's not true for you. I also need gentle movement. And now one of the things that I know I need to start incorporating is a little bit of weight resistance. Nobody's getting younger. I want to be intentional about my bone density. How about you? So asking yourself, what type of movement does your body need now for whatever age and stage and physical ability or limitations you have? Start where you are. Maybe it's, I keep seeing these ads on, I think it's YouTube, for these like chair exercise classes that someone's leading. So you really can start wherever you are with this, but asking yourself, what type of movement feels good for you? What types of activities might you enjoy or might work for you? My son just sent me a video of on one of the social medias of a really old Taibo. If anyone remembers those workouts, I used to love that workout, and I've actually often thought of looking for them again. So what types of activities do you enjoy? But I really always hated running, for example. So don't put yourself through a torturous exercise that you don't like, that doesn't make you feel better, that feels like torture the whole time. Maybe it's Orange Theory for you and you like a really high intensity workout. Maybe it's walking in a park nearby or walking near water. Maybe it's walking on a treadmill. Maybe it is just doing some jumping jacks in your own living room. It can be anything right where you are. How or where can you build movement into your schedule in a way that you won't cancel it unless it's really, really necessary? This is higher priority than just quote unquote running errands. And I know a lot of us are busy. I think everyone's busy now. It's just the nature of our world. We're all expected to do a lot more things than maybe we used to be in past generations. So I know we're all busy, and it can be difficult or can feel challenging to prioritize ourselves and our physical activity plan, for example. So how can you build it in? I used to have a friend that was able to go 30 minutes early to pick up her kids. She would get good parking. And then there was like a park space right next to the school. And she'd walk at the park for 30 minutes and do some like push-ups and things before her kids got out of school. So are there ways that you can build it into things that you're already doing? I used to, a lot of you know, I used to be a massage therapist, and a lot of my clients were professional athletes, professional golfers, that kind of thing. There was someone that I designed a program for where when they're brushing their teeth in the morning, they were doing calf stretches at the same time. Because you're just standing there. You could be stretching something, right? So how can you build movement into your schedule? We don't want it to be something that feels unnecessarily hard. We don't want it to be in a way that you're going to always cancel it or say, oh, okay, I can just move that right off my schedule and I can go to this lunch or I can take this meeting. Set yourself up for success, right? By picking, just getting really honest with yourself. Like, what do I even feel like doing? Like, what could I handle? What could I do? What feels fun to me? What type of movement does my body even need? And where can I build that into my schedule? It doesn't have to be, I mean, I do have friends that I was just talking to a friend yesterday that goes to like a crazy early in the morning Pilates class. That would not be for me. I just know myself, my body, my system, and I would probably, one of two things would happen. I would never get there or I'd be really miserable. So, it has to be built in a way that actually works for you. So being honest with yourself is a really important part of this, and set yourself up for success. Make a plan, get your stuff ready the night before. If it means setting out your little workout outfit in the bathroom so that you're not, for example, going through the drawers and closets, waking up your partner in the morning when you're doing this. So how else can you set yourself up for success? I like these refillable water bottles. I used to do an extra one for myself in the fridge in the morning so I could just have it there and go. How can you decrease your barrier to entry on a day-to-day basis if you're someone that finds it really challenging to get this physical activity in? Because it's springtime, we get to move our bodies, we get to breathe in fresh air, we get to have exercise. So you can either put a new physical activity plan into place or fine-tune your existing one. Maybe you made a plan at the new year and you want to reinvigorate that plan. Whatever works for you. A next one to really focus on for this season is make significant relationships a priority. I really focused on this for the whole of last year. If you're one of my students or you worked with me privately, you might already know this. But for me, one of my goals last year was to really make significant relationships a priority. And for me, what that looked like was intentionally getting things on the calendar with people that I wanted to spend time with and build a closer connection, right? And I hear all the time how challenging it is to make friends as an adult. Some of it is, yes, it can be challenging to find those people that really resonate with you. But when you do find someone that you have common ground with, or you think, oh, we could have fun, or I do kind of like this person, or I resonate with their energy, the tempo of them, right? Like I know certain people are for me and certain people are not. So if you find someone that you're like, oh, I think that person's for me, are you intentionally making a relationship with them a priority? Shout out to my bestie. She did this last year also. And there was this one person that she really wanted to get to know and spend time with. And it took her probably the whole year of her reaching out, making plans with this gal. And then I remember her saying to me several times, like, I make plans with her all the time, but she never invites me or makes plans with me. Like, I hope she's going to open her heart and like we can really be friends. And just last week, she was telling me, oh, it's so cool. She had a little thing at her house and invited me. And it was really lovely because now I feel like she's really like getting it, that like we're going to be real friends, not like surface level mom friends type of a thing. So are you intentionally creating time and space to hang out with people in our busy lives? You could consider having a gathering with friends. Even one friend will do. It doesn't have to be like 7 friends. It could be like one friend, to set spring intentions. Like maybe you invite someone to tea or a cocktail or just togetherness, and you guys sit down and write your intentions for spring. Or you don't have to write intentions if that doesn't sound fun to you. When the weather is nice, you could do a picnic in the park and everyone can bring their own snacks and share one thing they've learned since December or one intention for spring, for example. So can you create moments for connection? If you guys are on my social, you will see me go to Disneyland with a friend. You'll see me go to comedy shows. You'll see me, well, I don't post pictures of all the things I do, quite honestly, but there's times where I'm meeting at a park with a friend and we're just going to go walk at the park and we might have a coffee or we might just have water, right? So how can you be more intentionally making significant relationships a priority? Maybe for you and your friends, it needs to center around an activity. I know people that do those like trivia nights, for example. Maybe you've got little kids and it's too overwhelming to try to get a night out. So maybe you have like late morning orange juice once a month with your friends on your front porch, right? Because you need to be home. So start where you are, but just making it intentional in this time period that we're in, where so much is web based and so many people are going to AI for all their answers and doom scrolling on social media, comparing their lives to everyone else's. Are you intentionally making those connections, those relationships a priority so that you're experiencing life and relationships and not just watching them from the outside, consumed by this world of technology? That's what I want for us. And one last little suggestion here, I'm calling it the extra mile. Can you think about setting one new intention for the season or reinvigorating an old one? So maybe you did, I don't love the word resolution, but maybe you did a New Year's intention, like, or something you wanted to focus on for this year. Like I told you last year, I focused on intentionally cultivating relationships. What are you focusing on this year? Maybe there was something you thought about at the end of the year, beginning of January, and now you're like, oh yeah, by this time of year, we've usually forgotten or gotten off track. Oh yeah, I was going to make that my intention. So you can reinvigorate one you already chose or a word you already chose, or you could set a totally new one just for this season. And at the end of 3 months, see how you're doing with that intention, because life can pass us by so quickly. And yes, it's wonderful to refresh our energy, refresh our space, and reinvigorate our physical space. It's so important, and I do think that there's a lot of value just on our mood alone for doing the space clearing and reinfusing intentions, right? Whether you're doing salt wash or blessings boil or infusing with music or whatever it is, there's so much value in that. But what are we doing in our lives also? So can you set one intention for yourself? Maybe it's that a mini intention I've had is that I'm going to stretch for 15 to 30 minutes every morning. I obviously sit a lot more now than I used to. And so my body really needs that. So it's kind of a twofer. It's physical activity a little bit and an intention. So what intentions do you have? Because we are responsible for cultivating the garden of our life. No one else is going to do it for us. And what I've learned in the last, I don't know, lots of years is that life is busy and there's never time. There's never enough time to do all the things we want, to get to all the things we want, to organize all the things we want. And so if we don't start prioritizing our happiness, our connection, what feels delicious for us, things that we want to experience, even if it's you want to start making candles in your kitchen. Like, do you know what I mean? Not to sell, but just for you, for your own crafty enjoyment. What are you cultivating for you in this segment of your life? It's going to fly by. It's going to pass by. We're going to be talking in a few months and we're going to be saying, oh my gosh, can you believe summer's over and we're entering fall in the next season and this year's almost over? And if you don't intentionally choose to focus on things for yourself, even if it's moments of laughter, moments of joy, moments of ease. Maybe you set an intention that every day or 5 days a week, you're going to have a 5-minute kitchen dance party with your family in the kitchen, or just with yourself, to be quite honest, is fine. So are there little micro or even macro intentions that you can set for yourself so that this life is not passing you by? This is the one wild and glorious and sometimes crazy feeling life that we get in this incarnation, in this body, in this time period, how are you going to use it? Because there's so much that's required of us. There's so much to do. And most of us are doing 1,000 things on any given day and then still feeling maybe not quite productive enough for that week as a whole. And time just keeps going and going and going, and those calendar pages keep flipping and flipping, and we can get years down the line and then realize, I mean, this is true for me and most women, honestly, that I know, some men, I'm sure. As my kids grew and started to move out of the house, I realized, like, oh my gosh, I don't even know what my hobbies are. I don't even know what my interests are. I don't even know what I like to do. So I had to really start recultivating what's even fun for me. What do I enjoy? What do I not enjoy at this age and stage? There might be things we used to enjoy that this version of us is like, yeah, you know what, I'm over it. Or things that we didn't used to enjoy that this version of us is like, oh, I really want to go try that. I really want to try snails. I really want to, whatever it is for you, keep a little list or set an intention. Maybe your intention is, I'm going to try one adventurous food every month, whatever that means for you. But finding this spice of life, this it's kind of reminds me of like bubbles of joy inside of us, and they don't just come. We have to cultivate them. We have to be intentional about them. Just like we have to be intentional about clearing and resetting the energy of our physical space, we have to be intentional about setting our goals, intentions, desires, infusing joy, infusing play, infusing amusement, whatever it is, into our lives and into our spaces so that we can access the creativity. So I would love it if you would share one thing with me that you're going to want to cultivate over this next season. You can comment it wherever you are watching this. I would love it if you would share that with me. So what's one thing, if we're all going to agree to go the extra mile, right? We're going to do our decluttering and space clearing. We're going to reset the energy for spring or for the next season. We're going to do all of that. But what's one intention that you can set for yourself for this season, personal? You don't have to share it with anyone. You don't even have to share it with me, even though I would love it if you did. What's one intention just for you? Something that you're going to cultivate or infuse or make an intentional part of your life in this season. I hope this has been helpful. I hope you got some ideas and some inspiration. I hope that your energy is stirring for this next season. And I would love to hear about which of these you chose to use, or maybe even all of them. These 9 steps to reset the energy of your home and your life for spring or any season. As always, I am so grateful for you being here with me. I am going to get to doing my spring reset. I hope that you will do yours. Let me know. And if this podcast means something to you, it would mean so much to me if you would give it a like, give it a subscribe, whether you're on YouTube watching the video version or you're on any of the podcast platforms, Apple or Spotify or iHeartRadio or Google or wherever it is. If you would subscribe to the pod, that helps you never miss an episode, and it helps me because most of the people who are listening have not yet subscribed. Big hugs, lots of love. Bye for now from inside Spirit Speakeasy.